In this video, I'm not only going to prove to you guys that the modern Call of Duty Zombies point system is absolutely terrible in so many ways, but even using 3 other different Call of Duty titles as examples and evidence to why Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and 7 really struggles when it comes to replayability, and why changing a system such as the point system was Treyarch's worst gaming decision to this day. Also mentioning some other side details when it comes to perks and natural progression. Also, before we get too deep into this video is not only meant as a discussion, so please keep your comments tame even if you're typing in the heat of your passion, but also just a friendly reminder that the information I am presenting and talking about is more catered towards the casual zombies experience, and how the changes made to the point system and other systems affect new and returning players for a variety of reasons. As the video goes on as well, I will be explaining how some of these changes are actually pretty beneficial for players such as myself and other veteran zombie players. But without further ado, let's get into this, and as always, make sure to keep it friendly, and let's talk about the first point I want to bring up when it comes to the modern Call of Duty zombie point system, which is, it's hard to get too deep into things without talking about the history first. So, when it comes to achieving the maximum amount of points within a game mode like Zombies, back in the day, meleeing was the way to go. But within the most recent titles, such as Black Ops 6, this was changed. 105 points for meleeing the zombie, 115 points for headshotting the zombie, and 90 points for a regular body kill. In Black Ops 7 as well, there were some different changes, and there's 150 points for meleeing in the head, 105 points for a body shot, 115 points for a headshot, and 90 points for a regular body shot. Now, in all honesty, this doesn't really seem all too bad, but there are just other factors within Black Ops 6 and 7 that don't harmonize with this change altogether, and one of those changes is the pack-a-punch system. In Black Ops 6, you can pack-a-punch your weapon 3 times, which starts at 5,000 points, 15,000 points, and then a whopping 30,000 points. And this is also the same for Black Ops 7, which means in total, this is going to cost the players 50,000 points just to pack-a-punch one weapon alone, just to even hypothetically achieve the maximum amount of output damage towards the zombies. And my main gripe with this is how much it is to actually pack-a-punch. Because realistically, within a game like Black Ops 6 and 7, you're only going to pack-a-punch about 1 to 2 weapons per game, especially as a casual player. Now, the average player in most cases, and I'm strongly assuming this when I make this statement, don't make it past round 20 or 25 for several reasons. One of those reasons being it takes a long time to achieve, the difficulty ramps up real quick, and lastly, they are not doing enough damage and get killed or knocked down or you name it. Basically, they are falling short and won't have enough points to pick themselves back up. And this is a major issue for a lot of reasons. Going down is so severely punishing within these newer titles. And it's kind of ironic because for a game like Black Ops 6 and 7, which is trying to cater towards a more casual and easier experience, in all honesty, it's doing a terrible job. It cannot achieve this. And one of those things that doesn't harmonize well within this new point system is that it doesn't blend well when it comes to getting your perks. If the player kept hypothetically going down, you don't just have your regular 500 point quick revive anymore and 2500 point juggernog. All perks are cranked up the more you get. They implemented this sort of inflation system to counteract the player since the perk limit no longer exists. Now, you can take this as a double-edged sword because you don't need all the perks in retrospect to be able to play your game of zombies, but once you reach a certain point within the later rounds, you definitely should get those perks to make your life easier. In the older titles, I'll go back to Black Ops 3 for example, since it is the most popular in this series, going down meant you need to at least get your juggernog and double tap again, then away you go, assuming you have a pack-a-punched weapon already. And if you were to go down with these perks, 4,500 points is the punishment for going down. And in Black Ops 6 and 7, to get those 2 perks back, it's going to cost you 5,500 points, which is only a 1,000 point difference, which doesn't sound too bad. But let's just say you go down and you're like, you know what, the weapon that I'm using, I'm just not vibing with it anymore, and I want to switch it out for something else. Now you not only have to go find another weapon, either in the mystery box or off the wall, but then you need to pack-a-punch that weapon to the proper tier you want it to be, and then you also need to balance that weapon by getting it to the actual rarity you want so you can do damage again. Even if you want to pack-a-punch your weapon to tier 2, this is a big ask since you're starting from the bottom up again. And it doesn't help as well they got rid of being able to collect points just from shooting the zombies alone. You probably remember back in the day when you were playing Keynote or Tone on Black Ops 1, or if you're playing Black Ops 2 on Transit, you were just laying round after round into zombies and the side of your screen looked like this. Doesn't that bring back so many memories? I know it does for me. I definitely miss those days. Something like this could have still been within the newer titles, but toned down a bunch. If Call of Duty or Treyarch really hated this system so much, why not make it so you can only shoot the zombies 5 times, gaining only 50 points, and then that's it? Like how in early Black Ops titles, when you tried to rebuild all the barriers within the early rounds, you got capped out at a certain point, so you can just open all the doors within the map as soon as possible. The issue with modern zombies, and my experience when it comes to modern zombies, always comes down to damage, because there is just this abundance and overcomplicated system with damaging the zombies. Besides just pack-a-punching your weapon and getting double tap, which didn't need to return by the way, and maybe I'll talk about this in a later video, you also have weapon rarities you need to keep up with. You also have ammo mods, attachments, augments for your perks. Now, when it comes to attachments and ammo mods, these really aren't too bad in retrospect. They just help you keep a natural flow when it comes to your progression throughout your game of zombies. It's nothing really too much to complain about. But if you want to get a different gun and the weapon rarity isn't there, you also need to collect this thing called salvage, which has a given chance to drop from a zombie. And I know there are augments out there to help boost this, but let's ignore that. I'm just talking about the plain casual experience if you don't have all the overpowered augments equipped and collected. For some reason, I see other YouTubers hate the example or explanation of, well, just buy a weak weapon off the wall and lay it into the zombies. For some reason, they don't think that's a valid reason, but this is what we all did back in the day. That was an option that you could do. It was an option to get your points back. And that is the key word. It was an option. You don't have any options in Black Ops 6 and 7 if you're too weak in the high rounds and you just want to earn points and try out something new. If you went down too many times or want to try out a different gun, but you just don't have enough points to pack-a-punch it, it's too bad. If you really wanted to use that gun, play a different game and have it as your primary. This doesn't create fun replayability. This hypothetically can create a very replayable system, since if your players are only using 1 or 2 weapons per game, then they need to restart again, use another weapon, restart again, try something else. But the nice thing about the OG systems was just grabbing what you wanted, testing it, and then pack-a-punching it to see if you like it or not. Or even just pack-a-punching it to see if it's even a viable option. That is made so exponentially harder and more difficult to all of these other combined factors that create this scene where you don't know if a gun is good or not during the middle of your run until you have it fully kitted out. Options are being stripped away from the players both casually and for veterans, and it creates this boring slogfest of a game that feels not only unfulfilling, but unsatisfying and extremely frustrating. But with that being said, let's talk about some other point systems, and this is kind of the nerdy part of the video, so I definitely do apologize if it's kind of boring, but these are some examples and examples of data I collected when it came to playing these 3 other titles and comparing it to Black Ops 6. So without further ado, I played Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 4. And for each of these games, I went about it in a very particular way, so everything can be an even playing field to get a fair and honest result. So these are the steps I took. I played 5 games across all these titles, and during these 5 games, I did not, and I repeat, I did not do these things. I did not pick up any power-ups such as double points, fanny packs with cash from IW, point drops from Black Ops 4 or 6, nukes, insta-kills, carpenters, you name it. If it's a power-up, I didn't pick it up unless it was a max ammo. Traps weren't used, and the highest round for these 5 games I went to was until round 10, and only until the beginning of round 10, meaning after I was finished with round 9 and it rolled over to round 10, I went down immediately so I could not only end my run, but see what my total amount of points I collected was for that run. I also didn't use any Gobblegums, Fate or Fortune cards, or anything that would spawn in power-ups as well, such as completing side Easter eggs or quests. Now, more importantly, out of all these games is the averages. However, I did play a 6th game from these titles, and that was when I was finally allowed to use power-ups, but still not using Gobblegums or FNF cards, you name it. So here are the numbers starting off with Black Ops 3. The average for my 5 games in Black Ops 3, using no power-ups, perks, traps, you name it, was 18,470, and here are my 5 games when it comes to the points I got. This is my game 6, however. For Black Ops 4, this was the average I played, and I also played on 9. I didn't want to play on Blood of the Dead, or any of the other maps. I'm holding that off for stream. Now this was my game 6 in Black Ops 4. A little bit bigger of a difference compared to Black Ops 3. You can also take it as a grain of salt because there was definitely some games in Black Ops 3 where I got 2 dog rounds, and in Black Ops 4, I only got 1 lion round. Infinite Warfare Zombies, here are my 5 games, and this was the average, which was 20,178. In my game 6, it was 24,610. A little bit higher of a game, but still similar to Black Ops 3. For Call of Duty Black Ops 6, these are my first 5 games, and the average I got was 20,557. How interesting. The average is higher than Black Ops 4 Infinite Warfare, and it's especially higher than Black Ops 3 by 2,000 points. It's not a substantial difference, but still, it is a pretty big jump. My game 6, however, was 24,340. Now, some of you might look at that data and think, well, what's the point of even showing it if it all looks exactly the same? The things that you can do with 24,000 points in Black Ops 6 is close to nothing compared to a game like Black Ops 3, 4, or Infinite Warfare. 24,000 points in a game like Black Ops 6 is substantially less valuable than the previous titles. The issue is, within a game like Black Ops 6, you need to constantly grind so much harder to achieve a better build than you did in the previous games. In the previous games, at least you were able to get to round 10 and feel semi-set up. It felt nice, especially for those casual players. Even for someone such as myself, I don't want to play until around 25 to 30 and then finally feel fully set up just to end my game a couple rounds later. That's not fun. And I'm not saying I need to be completely overpowered and just completely broken by round 10, but to be able to achieve that factor where I have all my perks, or at least I have enough perks that I'm happy with, I have a gun that I'm semi-okay with and I want to pack a punch, or even just play around with to see if I like it. I don't need to juggle this balance of points, salvage, and trying to come up with this just big brain plan so I can finally be fully set up by round 30. There's nothing wrong with having a complicated game or a more complicated system, but Black Ops 6 was meant to cater towards a casual audience. Especially when it came to the Easter eggs, I want to say the Easter eggs are just so abundantly boring and run down compared to everything else that we used to have. But everything in Black Ops 6 just takes too long, and this is hypothetically setting up without even going down once. Remember, for a person like me, I rarely go down within the early rounds, and I don't say that to toot my own horn or to seem like I have this massive ego, but especially in Black Ops 6, going down in the early rounds is pretty tough for a veteran player. But for a casual, it can happen, and when they go down, it hurts. And then it's extremely hard for them to get back up on their feet. The data I showed you looks the same. It's fantastic that it's the same, but it's the inflation in Black Ops 6 that kills players the most. The inflation of perks, the inflation of the pack-a-punch, it hurts all the players substantially. It's funny, it sounds like real life when it comes to things for inflation, when it comes to food, groceries, whatever you name it, because inflation always hurts everyone. But inflation within a game also just kind of sucks. Let's move on to the Gobblegums system. Now, if there's one thing I loved during the introduction of Gobblegums, was being able to go to the Gobblegum machine and getting a randomly selected Gobblegum of my choice. Now, there has always been Gobblegums, elixirs, faint fortune cards, you name it, that created this unbalance. And this isn't something new since it's been there since the introduction of Gobblegums in Black Ops 3. But they aren't necessities or crutches, unlike how Black Ops 6 has reworked their system. I truly believe that Black Ops 6 and 7 pushes for the players to use Gobblegums like no other title out there. And if you don't believe me when I say that, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but if you've watched this video from the start to now and you don't understand the length that players need to go to for collecting 50,000 points to fully pack-a-punch their weapon, then you gotta fully kit out your gun to legendary rarity, then you gotta get all your perks, and then you gotta balance all this while trying not to go down, opening the map, also possibly just trying to complete the Easter egg quest, since that's also what Call of Duty was trying to push for more players to complete. Gobblegums like Wonder Bar let players get an instant wonder weapon from the mystery box. Hidden Power makes your weapon get to a legendary rarity, and then Perkaholic obviously gets you all your perks. You need legendary rarity weapons for the boss fights or Easter eggs, and you definitely, most definitely, need a legendary rarity weapon for high rounds. Whereas before, even in a game like Black Ops 4 where you need to pack-a-punch your weapon 5 times for max damage, it's not as unbalanced as it is in Black Ops 6. I mentioned this in a section before where if you're not doing a certain amount of damage within the high rounds, or if your weapon isn't doing the damage you want, you're not going to be getting any points, which completely ruins your entire run. It honestly feels like Call of Duty saw this part of the imbalance when it comes to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and 7, and to counter that unbalance, they provided or implemented these Gobblegums. But then you need to spend money to have the opportunity to buy those gums and allow yourself to pick yourself up your feet if you want to continue your run. If I lose all my perks, well, what if I don't have enough money to buy them back? Well, I'll just pop another perkaholic. I can't just lay my gun into the zombies anymore to collect random points. It doesn't cost me 4,500 points to buy ammo off the wall for my pack-a-punched weapon. It costs over 10,000 points, or just 10,000 points alone. Even in a game like Infinite Warfare, where you definitely need a double pack-a-punched weapon for all the Easter eggs after Spaceland, it still feels achievable since the cost of double pack-a-punch is 15,000 points, and perks have their own set value instead of gradually inflating in price after each purchase. Even if you manage to end up at the bottom in those games, you still have a chance to pick yourself up. This is what I was talking about before when it comes to options. It just feels like within Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 that once you reach a certain point in the rounds, and if you want to switch out your weapon, well, you're not going to be achieving that same level of damage and being able to kill the zombies, so you won't be able to get any more points to level up your weapons if you are running low on points. Compared to the old games where you can just lay round after round and build up those points, yes, it's pretty inefficient, and I know some people aren't happy with that argument, but those are the facts, is that you have options back then, and now your only options are to either spend money on Gobblegums if you want to get back to where you are, or you just restart your run, which isn't fun, doesn't create fun replayability, and it just doesn't seem too fair. With all that being said and done, I was going to add a section talking about how this point system is really beneficial for veteran players, but I think I would rather hold that off for another video, since that is an entire can of worms to talk about and dive deep into. And when it comes to the numbers going across all these other different Call of Duty titles, well, what's the point of any of that? Was it actually fun playing these games and earning my points, killing all these zombies and getting these rewards and building my character up? I know something like that sounds like an eye roll, but it's an important factor because, as I said, this video, and when it comes to the point system for casual players, it is about fun, replayability. If people are struggling to kill the zombies, get their perks, pack-a-punch their guns, well, how fun is that? It's honestly something that a lot of people forget about because all we see nowadays are the top tier streamers or these crazy clips. People got these crazy setups or these weird crazy guns that we're rocking, and they make everything look so easy, but they never look at it from the bottom up. And just that alone is why I wanted to make this video, because when it comes to the point system back then, it was definitely a lot more fun and replayable back then, watching the side of my screen just build up a bunch of these points compared to now where it's just not the same. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't want to drag it on any longer. Let me know your thoughts down below if you think the point system back then was great, or even Black Ops 4 point system, Infinite Warfare, or if you honestly enjoy Black Ops 6 and 7's point system. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and catch you later.